Hi everybody, welcome back to Small Caliber Arms Review. I'm Richard. If you'll remember a few months ago, I did a review on this. This is the OneLeaf Commander, I think it is. It's the Night Vision 100 or NV400 Night Vision scope. Now this one is a little unique. It's a regular scope, which is a nice regular scope too, because it's a 3 to I think 12 power scope on there. But it's got this night vision unit that mounts onto the front of it, and it's got bayonet style lugs that mounted on there, and you can actually take the night vision unit off and use it just as a camera, or you can use the scope just as a regular scope. Now it's a pretty good one, I think. Anyways, I've used it a couple times. It's got the illuminator built into the top of it here. It does have side parallax adjustment on it, and it has an illuminated reticle on there. Got a little port on the side for your SD card, all your connections and everything. One of the things I did not like about it is the camera is a good quality camera, and it's great for macro shots and close-up shots and stuff. So it has to adjust to see what your eye is going to see in the eye box of the scope itself. And if you take it off and use it separately, then you put it back on here, there's a lot of adjustment you got to go through with this wheel on the bottom here to get your picture, your image correct for your eyesight. Now they have improved the night vision scope, and they have come up with the Commander NV400. I'm glad the box was empty. This is the Commander NV400. This is a 4 to 52 power 50 millimeter scope on here, and this is all in one unit now. Instead of it being the separate camera on there, this actually has the camera built in the front here with optical zoom on it, and it has the monitor or viewer in this side, and it's all in one unit now. Now it does have built-in batteries in it. It's got two of them inside the tube there and one smaller one right here. You can put a bigger one in there so you get more time to view. This has got like an 8-hour or 9-hour operating time with the full charge on the batteries here. The illuminator is a separate unit now, which is pretty nice, and it mounts either on the side. And now this one has the rangefinder on it, so you can mount the illuminator on the side there if you don't have the rangefinder. If you do, your scope rings actually have a piece made on there, a little piece of a rail on the top there, so you can mount your illuminator on the top here. Now it gets to be a bunch of stuff on here, but I think it's a pretty good, it's a lot better design than I think than the NV100 on here. Plus, like I said, you've got a rangefinder. It's not really a complicated scope. It's actually pretty intuitive. The controls on it are easy to follow. The manual is easy to follow, and the components and parts that come with this thing are easy to figure out and easy to follow. Plus, like I said, the instruction manual is written properly. It's a pretty good setup. It's a lot better, a lot cleaner looking than the NV100. You do have the option, like I said, to put a bigger battery on here, and it comes with a 65 millimeter cap to go on there, so you can put a taller battery on it. Your illuminator comes with the battery built in it, and it does come with a small charger for that one single battery. Actually, this fits multiple sizes of batteries. And this plugs into a USB, so 5 volts on there. I think 1,000 milliamps is what they recommend. So your illuminator is something like 465 yards, somewhere around there, to is how far it'll throw that light out there, which is pretty nice, a lot better than the NV100. You're going to have a couple different cables, HDMI cables. Believe that is it's a micro, let's see, USB-C cable. The other cable in here, it's going to come with a couple Allen wrenches to mount everything. Another little Allen wrench here for tightening things down, such as the rangefinder on there. A lens cleaning cloth. Another cap for the end there. It's going to come with 2 eyepieces for your night vision, the soft kind right there, to keep that ambient light from getting to your eye while you're trying to view night vision stuff. A pretty good setup, I think, anyways. We're going to get this thing, we're going to get the NV400 taken off of the Rossi RS22M, and we're going to put this one on here. I was going to put this on my Ruger 204. Now, one of the things I discovered with this is if you're putting this on a long action rifle, you may have to get some different scopes, because the spots in between here where the rings go are pretty close together, and it would not fit on my Ruger 204. So we're going to put this on the other one, and on the Rossi RS22M, get it set up, and then give it a few shots. We're going to check out the camera in this thing. It is capable of 4K at 120 frames per second. So if you want some pretty smooth, slow motion playback and everything, the 120 frame per second is going to be pretty nice. It'll also film 60 frames a second, 30 frames a second, and I think 24 frames a second, which is usually what I film everything in. I just like the looks of it. I'm trying to think of what else. There's so many features on this one that were not on the NV100, especially with the rangefinder on there. Setup is a little I won't say intense, but it takes a little time to get it set up, everything like you want it. But I think once you get it set up, use of it is going to be a breeze. Anyways, we're going to get the Tipton Ultravise set up here, get the old scope off the RS22, and get the new one on there. All right, one of the things I've noticed right off the go here is that it seems to sit a little bit high. I've got a lot of room in between the scope and here. It comes with a set of rings. You may be able to put smaller ones on there. The only thing I'm going to say is that if you do get the one with the rangefinder on there, and it is an option, you might want to get some that have the little Picatinny rail on the top there, because your illuminator is going to mount on the top of that, and that could cause you a little bit of an issue. You wouldn't be able to mount this on there if you don't have a way to do it. Of course, if you're putting it on a different kind of rifle, maybe you've got a rail somewhere else on the fore end or something that you could put it on. This one is going to be mounted on the top here, because this rifle just doesn't have a spot, another rail on it anywhere. So it will be mounted on the top there. All right, everything looks pretty good. Now on the illuminator, it is an infrared light, so you don't want to turn it on and look in the end and see if it's on, because first of all, you're not going to be able to see if it's on. Second of all, it can damage your eyes. So on here, you have the ability to rotate this where you need it. And there are three little lights on the top here, and they are kind of hard to see in bright light, but they are there, and that will let you know the intensity. There's three different intensity levels on here. So when you turn this on, and like I said, it's going to be hard to see, but there are three lights there. You click it, each time you click it, the intensity level goes up, and then it's off. And then you've got a focus ring on here too. You can adjust where that beam, how it collimates, where it focuses at anyways. So, and it'll reach out to over 400 yards is what it says there. Pretty easy ring to turn too. But you're not going to be able to see it until you're looking through it in the night vision mode to be able to see that light. You can't tell with the naked eye where it's going to be at. Power button is on the left hand side here. There's a menu up here. There's a selector, you can rotate it. You can see on the inside of the screen there all the options you've got, and there's a slew of options in there. But I think once you get it set up to where you want it, everything will be just fine. There's a camera record button on the top here, backlight, review your footage, everything, different modes and everything. You've got your ocular right here so you can focus it for your eyesight. You've got a focus ring up here and a cover on here, and it's a waterproof cover, IP67 or whatever it is. So these are not where you're going to adjust your turrets to get your crosshairs on there. On here you're going to have your SD card is in there and your couple of USB connections and all that good stuff. On the top is the battery. It's pretty much like a normal scope. It's set up like a normal scope anyways, except for the zeroing your rifle in, and you do that actually digitally. So you can take your first shot and then you can adjust your crosshairs, and all that information is in the manual, and it's pretty easy to follow, pretty clear instructions and everything on there. It looks like it's got a lot of stuff going on here, and it's just a normal scope pretty much with an illuminator on it and a rangefinder. You can take the rangefinder off. I like the idea of having a rangefinder on there, although I've used some of the handheld ones before, and I didn't really like them because I'm not exactly sure where I'm looking at. I mean, I can see my target in there, but where exactly is that laser going and bouncing back and coming to? You can actually see in here where your focus point is for your rangefinder through the viewfinder. You can see where it's supposed to be hit, where it's actually taking the reading from, and then you can adjust things, verify things, calibrate things. You can calibrate the gyroscope in here. This has a gyroscope that lets you know the cant. So if you're sitting there and you're twisted a little bit, it'll tell you. It'll tell you your elevation. It'll tell you your distance. It tells you all the information you need to hopefully make a good, accurate shot. Anyways, we're going to get this thing out on the range now that we've got it mounted, and do some tweaking with it and get it figured out, and do a little bit of footage with it. You can select the length of time that you want to record for. We'll do it in the daytime first, and then hopefully this evening, maybe when it gets a little darker out, we'll go out there and see how it works in the night vision mode. Now, one of the things I was told by the manufacturer is your shutter speed for your camera and the way the night vision works, the refresh rate on it and everything, they suggest don't use it in 120 frames per second when you're doing the night vision stuff, because those numbers just don't work out right. But if you use it on the 30 frames per second in night vision mode, it's a nice clear image on there. I don't know yet, I haven't tried it, so I'm going to take the advice of the manufacturer, and that just has a lot to do with electronics, with refresh rates and frame rates and everything in the camera. If they get out of sync too much, you get this weird flickering effect, and that's one of the things they did say on this. 120 frames per second in night vision mode is not going to be the best image. Anyways, let's get this thing outside. All right, everybody, we're back inside with the NV400 mounted on the Rossi RS22. Now, I did take it outside today, and today is not a really nice day out. Started out rainy and foggy, and it let up a little bit, and then I tried to do the best filming I could with it. Now, some of the filming that I'm showing you on here that I'm not really going to go into detail on, I'm sighting in the gun, and I cannot show you through the viewfinder what I'm seeing in there, and some of the things don't show up in the viewfinder. The only thing that shows up for you guys to see in the film is, I think, a date stamp, time stamp, and all that kind of stuff. And then the logo that's on there, and that's about it. You don't get to see the sides there where I've got the, where I can tell the cant of the rifle, where I can tell the elevation of the rifle, the rangefinder, all that stuff. You guys can't see that in there. It doesn't record that in the image, but you can see it when you're actually using this. I did do a little bit of filming so you could see what the image looks like, not zoomed in all the way at 13 power. And it's 13 times digital zoom in here. There is no optical zoom on this thing, which is kind of misleading when it says 4 to 52 by 50. Usually that's your zoom range, 4 power all the way up to 52 power, and then 50 is the objective diameter on there. It's still a pretty decent scope. It is all digital. I like it and I don't like it, because With it being all digital, if your battery dies on you, then you've got no image that you can see. There's no backup on it. At least with the NV400, if something happened, you could take it off and then you have an optical scope on there. The image isn't quite as good on the NV400, and the illuminator is definitely not as good on the NV400 as it is on the 400. The nighttime image, although it's going to be in black and white, is a pretty good image through here. The only thing, another thing I don't like about it is this this sunshade that's on here. Now in daytime use, you're supposed to use it with the sunshade on there and the cover closed. In twilight, you can take just the sunshade off, and then you've got this opening on here that restricts the amount of light that goes in there, because it's a really sensitive, I think it's a Sony Starvis sensor that's in there. And then in nighttime, obviously, you want to open it all the way up so you get as much light as possible in there. And it does do a pretty good image. Another thing I don't like about it is, since it's all digital and it is a camera and viewer that you've got in there, there's no autofocus on it, which really is kind of a bummer, because if you're looking at things at different distances, you have to focus on your ring here to get your image nice and clear. And sometimes with things like this, where I've got the diopter where I can adjust it to my eyesight, the camera doesn't necessarily see the same things I do. So it may look really crisp to me in here, but not so crisp to the camera. And with it being such a small viewer that's in there, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell if you're really in focus. So an autofocus feature on this would be fantastic. There's not much you can do with a backup should your battery die, other than like with the NV400, where you can pull that off of there. It's got a little bit of weight to it, especially when you've got your illuminator on there and your rangefinder on there. And I found the rangefinder to be, it's pretty close, even though, like I said, at the 50-yard range it was showing like 52 yards is what it read, and I measured it with the tape. Of course, that's from the end of my bench there, so this is not quite 2 yards from the end of the barrel to the rangefinder on there, but that's going to throw it off. Plus I was measuring at an angle because I'm pointing downward when I'm looking at that. So I think the rangefinder is pretty accurate. The controls are easy to use on it. The image is pretty good, other than when you zoom in really close. It's kind of grainy, and I don't like that, but it's digital zoom in. Anything, whether you've got a camera on your cell phone with a really good camera on it, and you zoom in enough digitally, you get the grains, and there's not much you can do about that. Optical zoom would be ideal, but then I think it would make this a lot bigger, a lot heavier, and potentially quite a bit more expensive anyways. I will put a link down in the description so you can go to OneLeaf and check out the different things that they've got. They have handheld binoculars. They still have the NV100. They have the NV400. And you figure out whether or not you like it and it fits your needs. I did take it out in the rain tonight because, well, that's the only choice I've got. It's dark out right now and it's raining, so yeah, I don't have a lot of options. But it is waterproof to a certain degree, water resistant, I should say, to IP67 or 7, whatever those numbers are for the waterproof rating on there. Not a bad scope at all, and not as expensive as some of the other manufacturers of night vision scopes. And I can offer you a discount. I will also put that on the screen and also in the description. So if you want to buy one, you want to get, I think it's 10% off on there. Check them out. You know, I don't think I get a commission off of it, but if I can help you get one and you like it, that's great. If you don't, I'm not saying go buy one, but it's not a bad scope. And for what I need it for out here on the farm, there's a lot of woods around me, so there's a lot of potential for coyotes and raccoons and, you know, whatever other critters like to eat chickens. I keep the chickens locked up at night, but sometimes the wolf comes sniffing around the door. Anyways, thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review. If you could, reach up here and hit this button to check out some of my other videos, and hit the little round one down here to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review.